or anything like that. Okay. So, got it. So I'm Cecile Elias, and to my right, maybe your left, I'm not sure, is Aevie or Ashley Vielma, and she's, like she said, outside of Houston. And we're excited to just give an introductory mat class. We did have a question in the group if you can only do it on the floor. And the answer is no. However, today's class is a floor class. So we will be putting out like a little 5-minute video each day the rest of this week through Sunday, and covering things that we didn't do in this class. So we might do a few more laying down, but I'll make sure that 3 of those videos are seated or standing work. So that I think her name was, it was Cutie something, Cutie, Miss Cutie or something like that, something cute like that. She had a cute handle in the group. So that she and anyone else that wants to, maybe, I don't know, if you have vertigo, you just might not feel great getting up and down. But you can also just do this on your bed if the issue is just getting down on the floor. I'm okay with that. I've got a pillow in the background. You can have, if your head gets tired, your head will be up for some of the exercises. And if your neck is tired, you're welcome to put a pillow under there, a blanket, a towel, your sweatshirt, your dog. Mine's right here. Whatever you've got is fine. We're going to start with about 5 minutes of fundamentals, and then we'll go through a beginner sequence. If you need to stop at any time to get water, go ahead and do that. We're not going to pause for breaks. We'll just keep flowing, but it's going to be a slow pace, so there'll be time to sneak in a sip. Any questions that you have, you can save them for the end. We'll be happy to answer them. I'm going to be showing after the warm-up the intermediate exercise, the full version of an exercise, while Aevie is teaching the most beginner version. And then when we flip, I'll be showing and teaching, talking through the most beginner version, while Aevie is doing a more ideal version of the same exercise. So if you're brand new, you're going to look at whoever is speaking, look at their screen. And if you've been doing it for a little while, or maybe you're like, oh, I got this, it's easy, you can peek into the quiet person's screen. All right? All right. So we can all come to the mat and just lay down flat. Okay, if you want right away, you can have a pillow. And I apologize for my puppy. I was hoping she would be napping by now, but she's not quite. You're just going to lay down flat and have your knees bent with your feet flat on the floor. And I'll get rid of my pillow so you can kind of see. And let's just take a full body scan from our head to our tail, really. So maybe head and trunk. Where is your spine? Pilates is a movement of the spine. And we're going to start with our chin. We're going to do a few chin nods. Start by elevating your chin like you're looking at the wall behind you. And it feels like your skull is still on the floor or your mat, but there's a little gap between your hairline and the floor. And then you're going to push your chin back into your spine, elongating it, and kind of go past what feels like normal or comfortable. So you're pulling your chin in. It's almost like you're creating a skin fold, a little double chin down there, as if you could get your hairline to the mat. We'll do that again. Lift the chin and look backwards. So it's like you're stretching the front of the neck. And then pull your chin into your neck and lengthen the back of the hairline to the mat. So now you're getting a stretch in the back of the neck. And that'll be important. Anytime we lift our head, we're going to want to lengthen our neck like this first. Now let's go down to our rib cage. Everybody put your hands on the sides of your ribs so that your fingers sort of wrap around the front. And we're going to take a really deep breath in. And just exhale till there is nothing left. So that might be slower or faster than me. Whatever happens is fine. Breathe in through your nose as deep as you can. And then exhale either through your nose or as if you're blowing through a straw. Good. So now that we've established that, we're just breathing very deep and as slow as you can. And in through your nose and either out through a straw or your nose. With our hands on the ribs, I just want you to take note of where your ribs go when you breathe. So for most people, they're probably going up into the air a little bit on the inhale. And then when you exhale, they sort of fall down, right? If that's you and you're not feeling any movement to the sides, then that just means you're kind of taking a shallow, chesty breath. And so what we want to do is with our hands here, see if you can feel the sides of your ribs fill with air. And that's just ensuring that you're taking the air lower into the lobes of your lungs. Okay. So I'm not going to cue that all the time. Maybe he's not going to cue that all the time, but just something to be aware of. If you're starting to feel overworked or out of breath, check in with your breath and see if you can get the ribs to go to the sides again. And you can breathe slowly instead of just in the front of your chest and ribs. Now take your hands down below your belly button onto the muscle below your belly button. And when you inhale, just notice what happens to the belly. It might rise a little bit, and that's okay. And then on the exhale, what happens? It kind of falls back down with gravity. It just sinks to the floor. So now, because we're trying to exhale every last atom of air out, go ahead and let the belly rise a little bit on your inhale, but on your exhale, can you feel it pull in deeper on the exhale because you're trying to expel all of your air out on purpose? So deep breath in. Whatever happens in the stomach is fine. And as you exhale, your belly will naturally fall, but you try to pull all your air back out. And that's going to tighten your low abdominals just a little bit more, right? We call that the scoop, scooping your belly in and up. Now take your hands onto your pelvis and find those big flat bones in front. And if you're not quite sure where they are, imagine where your belt loops would be on your jeans. Put your hands there and make a triangle shape. So your fingertips, your index fingers are pointed toward the bottom of where your jeans zipper would be. So it's kind of towards your pubic bone, right? So now imagine in that triangle, you've got a bowl of hot soup, all right? We don't want to spill it onto our belly button. So that would be a curl of your pelvis. And we don't want to spill it down between your booty cheeks or on your heels, right? Because it would really burn either way, right? So find a level spot. So it's a hot bowl of soup and you want to keep that pelvis level. This will be our neutral pelvis. So if we lift a leg up and we're laying flat, we don't want to rock that bowl of soup, right? That's keeping a neutral pelvis. You just try that, test the waters a few times, and then pause in the center. Now your bowl of water is just lukewarm. It doesn't matter. Curl the pelvis and spill all the water onto your belly button. And this is a pelvic curl. We do a lot of C curve positions in the beginner exercises because we mirror a baby in the womb. We start all curled in a little fetus, and then we go and we lay on our stomachs, and then we go sideways and roll over. So that's kind of how Pilates works. And then make the bowl of water flat again. It's hot soup, don't spill it. Now spill the lukewarm water onto your heels. And now you have a little bit of air under your low back, and that's an arch or a tilt or an extension. So sometimes, just to make yourself taller when you're seated, you may have to do a little bit of this feeling just to give yourself a longer lifted spine. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Right, so now we have the movements of the pelvis, mostly that we're going to do today. We didn't talk about side to side, but we're going to mostly be moving forward and back. We talked about our chin. Now let's take the arms to the ceiling. We already felt the ribs moving a little bit. So now on purpose, when you hollow your abs and exhale, pull the stomach in, can you also knit your front ribs together like you're tightening corset strings? Now keep that corset as your arms go over your head. We call this rib cage arms. And then lift them back up to the ceiling. So that already should be a little bit of abdominal work. And that's just connecting your arms to your trunk. So inhale, reach your arms. The ribs stay connected like corset strings in front, and lift back up. Do that one more time. Reach the arms, tighten that corset around the ribs, and lift back up. So the reason that's important is because a lot of times if our arms go backward and we just let this all flop out, right now on the floor, it doesn't so much matter. But say we're lifted and seated and I let my arm go back and my ribs stick out, well, that's really going to make some tightness in my back. So I want to be able to know how to keep my ribs in line with my spine, no matter where my arms are. Okay. So those are some of the basic things that you can always go back to if it's not feeling quite right in the workout. And we'll also be referring to those things. So now Aevie is going to talk us through the first half of the beginner exercises that we've picked for you. And I'm going to put myself on mute. And remember, you can always shove a pillow under your head if it's up and your neck is getting fatigued.
Thank you, Cecile. Can everybody hear me okay? Perfect. So now we're here, we're lying back, we stay in the same position. We take a nice deep inhale to prepare, thinking about filling up the lungs. We lift, so we're thinking about that chin nod, nodding the chin as we lift the head and then peeling the shoulders off of the mat. The arms will naturally rise off of the carriage or off of the mat when we do that. We'll take a nice deep inhale in and begin pumping the arms at a 1 count. We're starting at 100. If you're familiar with this exercise, you can follow along with Cecile. If this is your first time doing the 100, follow along with me. Your gaze is down at your belly button and we're pumping the arms out, up and down for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's see if we can connect our breath pattern there. Inhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Inhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And exhaling all the air out of your lungs. Now, if you're able to, you can bring the right knee into tabletop, which means the thigh is at a right angle against the body, and the femur is at a right angle against the shin. You can bring the left leg up to meet it. And again, we're pumping the arms for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're here for just 2 more cycles. Inhaling long and exhaling. Carefully bring the feet back down to the mat if you lifted them up. Slow the pump of the arms and allow the head to return to the mat. We'll keep the feet flat on the mat. And next we're going into roll up. Thinking about the chin nod that we practiced earlier, we curl the chin forward as we lift the head, inhaling and exhaling to bring the body forward. If you need to use the legs and use the hands behind the legs in order to bring yourselves up, use the hands, and I'm showing that here. We use the hands to bring ourselves down and bring the body back to neutral. And then we inhale as we reach the arms forward, exhaling as we use the fingertips to sit up tall. And then we imprint our spine, so thinking about that pelvic imprint that we talked about during our fundamentals, we roll down slowly. Once more, exhaling to prepare, inhaling as we curl the head off of the mat, using the fingertips behind the thighs as we exhale to come up sitting. We use the low abdominals to roll back with control, taking the fingertips down the back of the thighs. And taking a quick break here. Next, we're moving into our 1 leg circle. We keep the knees bent, feet flat. We extend the right leg straight up to the ceiling. Inhaling, we exhale as the leg crosses along the midline towards the left knee, and it sweeps out and around. In this movement, we want to make sure that we're keeping the hip quiet, so there's no rotation and we're not rolling out to the side. So that means we start with smaller circles, maybe about the size of a dinner plate, and opening them a little bit bigger keeping the hips nice and quiet. We bring the toes back to the ceiling. We reverse the circle, sweeping the leg out, down and around, and back up. Really thinking about planting the supporting leg heel into the mat to keep stability in the body. And we have one more circle before we switch legs. And we bend the leg back down to the mat. We extend the left toe straight up to the ceiling. Inhaling to prepare. We exhale as we cross the leg across the midline, then out towards the side, around and back up. Circling here at our own pace. Again, circling a dinner plate size until we can safely find a range that works for our bodies. Coming to the top of the ceiling, we reverse the circle, extending the leg out, around, and back up. Really firing through the supporting leg to keep the pelvis stable here. There's no need to go beyond your range. Pilates builds range with practice. Carefully bring that left foot back down to the mat. Now that we've done our one leg circle, it's time to transition to rolling back or rolling like a ball. So sit up nice and tall. Think about the exercise that we did earlier where we were tipping our suit towards our heels. So finding our sits bones. I'm going to do rolling like a ball prep, and Cecile will do the full expression if you're familiar with the exercise and like to follow along with her. So we brace either behind the thighs, and we lift the feet up off of the mat, really sinking into the abdominals to find our balance here. And for some of us, this may be our challenge point. We can tap the feet down to the mat and bring them back up. Tapping the feet down to the mat and bringing them back up using the abdominals. And then if you're ready, you can hold on at your behind the thighs. You can curve and you can slowly come back and then just come up. Rolling back halfway to just up underneath the bra line, and then rolling back up to your sits bones using those abdominals, holding behind the thighs. We're here for 2 and 1 more. Sitting up nice and tall, taking an inhale here. Now we roll back to our backs. Legs are long against the mat. And then we bend our feet, we bend at the knees so the feet are flat against the mat. We think about nodding the chin and curling the head, neck, and chest off of the mat. We bend the right knee in as the left knee is still bent on the ground. We bring the right knee in and we extend it out long. This is just beginning our single leg stretch here. And then we can alternate. We bring the left knee in and it comes down to the mat, and then the right knee, stretching behind the hamstring here. Now when we're ready, as we pull the knee into the chest, the opposite leg shoots out long, really thinking about getting a nice stretch through that front quad. We inhale to switch along the midline. And again, really feeling the stretch through the quad, creating space in the joint between the hip and the thigh bone. And also enjoying a nice hamstring stretch as you pull that knee in. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring both feet back to the mat and lie the head back down just for 1 quick breath here. Next, we're going into our double leg stretch. We curl the head, neck, and chest up. We bend the knees in and tap them back down to the mat. Bend the knees in and tap them back down. If you're familiar with the full expression, follow along with Cecile. If this is your first time, follow along with me. First, we're just tapping the heels back down to the mat. And when we're ready, we begin to extend both legs out. And then we bring both legs in. We might not straighten the legs all the way out, and we may not straighten the arms all the way out. We just come halfway out and back in. The head stays lifted the entire time, and we're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Give yourselves a quick stretch back. And then we're going straight into our scissors. So let's bring both feet pointed straight up to the ceiling. If we need to have a slight bend in the knee, we can. Starting here with a slight bend in the knee, we curl the head, neck, and chest up. We pull behind the right thigh to pull it into the body, and we switch. Pulling behind the left thigh, bringing it into the body, and switch. Again, really using those abdominals here, switching through the legs and finding a nice hamstring stretch as we pull the body, the thighs closer into the body. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Carefully roll yourself up. We're going into spine stretch, so sitting nice and tall, thinking about letting our suit spill a little bit towards the heels. So we have a little bit of an arch in the back if we need to find more range here. We sit with the legs abducted the width of the mat. The hands come just in front of the groin. So you have the palms are flat on the mat. Thinking about our chin nod, we curl through the spine as the hands begin to reach forward. And the arms should stay straight. The arms are only moving forward because our body, and we're using our abdominals to stretch through our spine for our spine stretch. The feet are dorsiflexed at the ankles, so the toes are pointing towards the nose. And then we take an inhale to prepare an exhale. We use the low abdominals like somebody has a belt pulling us up vertebrae by vertebrae. The shoulders come down and we sit up nice and tall. And once more, we nod the chin to the chest and we curl, pushing the hands forward from the body, not from the arms. As we spine stretch forward, feeling that wonderful stretch through the entire back. Pausing once you get to your the limit of your stretch. And then inhaling, exhaling, pulling through the abdominals and zipping the spine back up tall. And once more, we curl the head, keeping the feet dorsiflexed. And we spine stretch forward, inhaling once we get to our range, and exhaling, carefully rolling everything back up. Okay, I am nice and out of breath, and I will pass it over to Cecile.
Thank you, Aevie. That felt great. So you can stay seated where you just were for spine stretch. I'm going to face you. If it's uncomfortable to sit here, especially since we've just done an exercise here, meaning it feels like you can't lift up, you can bend your knees a little bit. You can sit on a few pillows to give yourself more lift up, or my mat here is about 6 inches off the mat. If you're sitting on something, or maybe you just jump up on your sofa, you can still have wide legs with your feet down below the height of your hips. So any of those might make it more comfortable here in your hip flexors. And also if you're feeling like you're stuck back here and it's hard for you to get your head over your pelvis, those are all the options that you have available to you. So with your legs wide, maybe even wider than that spine stretch, this is the saw. Take your arms out wide to the side. And Aevie, again, is doing the full exercise. So if you know it, follow her. If you're brand new, follow me. We're going to keep our spine straight. I like to think of a ballerina in a jewelry box and twist to the right. So we're spinning on our axis. And then we're going to keep those arms out so wide, like we're trying to touch the side walls. Come back to center. Now make sure when you do that, and Aevie's doing the full version, when you twist to the other side, your opposite hip does not move. So when I'm twisting left, my right hip stayed put. And then I come back to center nice and wide. Rotating on that central axis, arms are so wide, twist right. And we're going to add on. That left hip never moved, right? Take your left hand across your body so you're aiming it over that right leg. It's like you're trying to get it over your right leg. Take your left or your right hand, the back hand, behind your body, like you're trying to hide it behind you, and then round your head toward your right knee. And then roll your spine back up, find that vertical posture. We're still twisted to the right. I'm going to stay to the right as I open my arms out wide again, like I'm stretching across the room, and come back to center. Anchor the hips, they don't move. It's like our ribs are the lid of a peanut butter jar. The hips don't move. That's the jar. Twist to the left, arms are so wide. Now take your right arm and reach it like it's trying to go over the top of that left leg. Take your left arm, your back arm, and hide it behind you. Both arms are still really straight. Imagine I'm pulling your wrists away from you. Your hips are still as you round your head toward your left knee. Now stay twisted as you come all the way back up and then back to center with your arms out wide. Go again to the right. Twist. Let's switch those arms both at the same time now. Round your head to the knee. Now see if you can take that opposite pinky finger, your left pinky finger. Can it go outside your right pinky toe? And if it doesn't quite get there, just reach for it. Now, as low as your left arm is, can you make your right arm equally high? That is the saw. We're going to saw off that toe in 3 pulses. 1, 2, 3, and then roll up, still twisted to the right. Come back to center, arms are wide. 1 more to the left. We twist. Now, can we sweep our right arm forward, left arm back at the same time? Keep your hips still. Roll your head to the knee. This time taking your right pinky finger, aiming it for the outside of your pinky toe. Left arm goes really high and saw off with 3 pulses. 1, 2, 3. Stay twisted to sit up tall. Come back to center with your arms wide, and wherever you are, rest. Wonderful. Let's flip over onto our abdominals. So this is the first time that we're doing extension. We're facing down. So everybody, you have 3 choices. You can come up onto your elbows, which is what Aevie's going to do. The elbows can be right under your armpits or as far forward as you need them to go with your arms parallel to each other. So when you look at your forearms, they look like the number 11, right? So that's the most impressive option, right? The big deal one, right? And then you can also be face down all the way on the mat, 1 palm on top of the other, with your forehead resting on your hands. And this is going to be the most restorative option, the most user-friendly if you're brand new. Somewhere between, I could have my head on the mat, take my right fist and put it right in front of my head. I'm going to take my left fist and wrap it around. So my dog's in the way, so I'm just going to show you. My fists are like this. My right fist is down above my head. My left fist wraps around. So now I have like a diamond shape above my head, or I'm forehead on the hands, or I'm like Aevie up on the forearms, like a Sphinx pose in yoga. Okay. So wherever you're choosing to be, I'll go the middle of the road so I can just take a peek at you. We're all going to squeeze our shoulder blades together, and it'll feel like you're sinking a little bit. And then lift up out of them. Do that one more time. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and lift up out of them. So it's like you're pushing the floor away no matter which arm variation you chose. Now remember that pelvic curl that we did in the beginning? So how do we do that when we're face down? We're against gravity. It's a little bit harder. So now I have to think, my dog's right here. You know how on a thunderstorm, if you've ever seen a dog that gets scared, their tail goes between their legs? Think of curling your pelvis like your tail is going between your legs and forward, like you're making a circular action with your pelvis like that. So now those hip bones that we were touching in the beginning, they should be trying to lift up off the ground versus if I just let my pelvis go, my low back gets shorter and my bottom kind of sticks out. And I don't want that because that's going to be painful in the long run. So curl your tail. We have to work for it. And now that scoop, exhale and pull your belly button up away from the floor. So now that jeans zipper, the fly where our index fingers were in the beginning, that part, the pubic bone, is pressing into the mat. That's the stable base. So keep that, all that work in the low belly, the pelvis, the pubic bone. You're lifted up out of your armpits. Even if your head is down, you're keeping your shoulders broad. You're not just sagging up by your ears. And we're going to lift both legs up off the ground. Now you should feel the backs of your legs working strong. And now it's even harder to keep that belly button engaged. So if you're here and it's too much and you're on the forearms like myself and like Aevie, just come back down, forehead on the hands. Either way, we're going to slowly bend our right leg, trying to keep that knee in the air. Feel the back of the leg. This is your hamstring working. And then keep firing that muscle. You may have to squeeze it on purpose and slowly straighten the leg. Feel it work against gravity. Left side, slowly curl it in. Keep reaching that other leg long. Slowly straighten the leg. Now you can keep going slow like that, or you can do like Aevie, and she's going to do a little kick, 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 and she can overlap them. I'm going to keep going slow for one more per side. And then rest those legs down. Good. Open your legs wide wherever you are. You can rest your forehead on your hands, even if you were doing the intermediate version. And just let your heels and hips do a little wiggle. Side to side, resting your head down. It's a release for your back. And then we're going to turn over on one side. I'm going to face the camera. So this is my left side. So I'll cue it like you're on your left side. Rest your head on your arm, or if you know this series, you can go like Aevie, or if you just need more challenge. I'm going to bend my knees. So if you're new, having that bottom leg bent is going to keep you more stable. Otherwise, your legs are forward at a diagonal like Aevie. Let's all put our top hand on the mat in front. And we're trying not to let ourselves roll forward. So what that arm does is you're pushing your hand into the mat and feeling like you're dragging it toward your legs, even though it doesn't move. And that helps to keep that arm connected to your back, similar to what we did with the rib cage arms. It's a connection, right? So that we're not falling forward into it. We're almost pushing to open our chest and just stay stacked right here. Let's all straighten the top leg. So if you're doing Aevie's version, your top leg's already straight and it's at a diagonal, not in line with my head. I'm going to lift it up hip height. Grow it longer so you feel your side body get long. Flex that heel, so like we did in the spine stretch forward. Kick your leg to the front, like you're trying to kick yourself in the face in your little Zoom camera. Point your foot and then sweep it all the way, go as far back as you can without feeling like your body is going to roll around. Keep your body very still. Now flex it, go to the front, give it an extra pulse. Point, sweep it to the back, give it an extra pulse. And to flow, flex to the front, point to the back. Two more. Flex to the front, point to the back. One more. Flex to the front, point to the back. Now bring it back to that diagonal. Reach your leg a little bit longer and just make sure, is your top shoulder directly over your bottom shoulder? Is your top hip directly over your bottom hip? So it's real easy to let it fall backwards or forward. So just check in with yourself. Now reaching that leg longer, slowly lift it. Imagine I'm pulling you by your ankle and reach it longer to lower. And again, reach it longer to lift and longer to lower. So when I say reach longer, if I was not reaching long, this hip would start to hike up into my side and I would feel so much gripping happening in my low back, my side, and my hip. So I have to reach that leg away in order to lift it. Now lift it just to hip height and trace an orange for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and reverse it. 5. When we're going with control, our legs probably feel a lot heavier than we thought they were, right? Mine feel like stone right now. And set that leg back down. Nice work. Just flip over to the other side. However you want to get there safely is fine. I'm just going to make sure that I'm still facing the camera. So I will rest my head down. Aevie is propping herself up. We're all lengthening the top side of our body. So all of us should feel like there's a little gap under the small of the waist on the side. I'm bending my legs for support. Aevie's got her legs straight. We're all going to take that top leg at a diagonal. Top hand on the mat in front. Now lift it up hip height. grow it longer so that you get rid of any wrinkles in the top side of your shirt, even if you're propped up. Kick it to the front with a flexed heel. Point the foot and sweep it back. Get out of the way, Louise. And then flex the foot, go to the front, give it an extra pulse, point and reach it back. And we're trying so hard to keep our upper body still. Go to the front and pulse, go to the back and pulse. Now keep going. So since we know the motion on this side, I'm going to talk about some of those fundamentals. When the leg goes back, can you remember the corset in the ribs? And that's going to keep your back safe. When the leg goes forward, can you try to reach your tailbone like you were spilling the water onto your feet and sweep it back, corset in the ribs to the front, spill that water onto your feet, and then bring it over the bottom leg. Reach it longer. And you know what? If you forgot all those fundamentals, as long as you're moving and happy, that's all right. Reach the leg out and lift up and reach out and lower. Imagine I'm pulling that ankle. Reach out. And at the same time, imagine, so my ponytail's kind of high like pebbles. Reach it like someone's pulling your ponytail away and pulling your ankle away. So you're getting long in both directions. As Pilates people, we have a lot of memes where there's like a guy, a cartoon guy, make little circles now, the size of an orange, on like an ancient torture chamber rack. And, he's joking about getting his reps in. He's doing Pilates reverse. So think of being stretched. You're on the stretcher as you move. 4 and 5. And then lower that leg with control. Excellent. Let's go ahead and just lay on our backs and just give those legs a good shake, 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 go wild, whatever feels natural. If you want to keep them on the floor and shake, 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 shake them, that is quite all right. Last exercise series, we're going to flip onto all fours, hands and knees. All right. Aevie is going to go straight into a plank. If you are not comfortable being on your wrists like this, you can come down onto your elbows. You can go onto fists, or you can roll up. So this is my dog's little snowman, but it's like the size of a rolled up towel. You can use that to support your wrists as well, just to get them a little higher than your fingertips. You can also just skip it, go back to one of the exercises that did feel good in your body. So on all fours, I'm starting with my shoulders right over my wrists, my knees right under my hips. I'm going to try not to move my back, just like those side kicks. Extend the left leg back and stand on my toes. That foot is flexed like we did in spine stretch. And then just slide it back in. Other leg, extend it back. And I'm trying not to move the rest of me and slide it back in. And then whenever Aevie needs a break, she's just going to fold in half and walk her hands to her feet. And then she'll walk herself back out to the plank when she's ready. For all of us in the beginner, we're going to send that leg, the first leg, lefty, out again. You can stay there and bring it back in and switch like we did before, or you can add the right leg and then bring the left leg back under you and then the right leg back under you. Imagine that bowl of soup's on your pelvis and you can't rock it to the sides now. Right leg now, out, out, in. You can stay with any of those versions, or we're going to join Aevie in that plank and stay for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Aevie's going to fold in half. I'm going to lower to my knees. Aevie's going to walk her hands to her feet. I'm going to push my heels to my bum in a little child's pose. And we will all roll our spines up to vertical. Good. Your head is last. If you're kneeling and you want to stand, you can stand. And I encourage everyone to just shake out your wrists. Shake, 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 shake. Shake them out to the side. Shake them down low. Shake them up high. And then lower your arms by your sides as you stand as tall as you can. And that is our beginner intro to Pilates mat workout for today. And we'll open it up to questions. Thanks for playing.
How is everyone feeling?
Well, I'm going to say that
2 thumbs up from Jana.
I wasn't expecting to sweat, but I did. I think my ponytail was loose now. I think probably just because I'm used to doing exercises that are faster. It seems like I feel like this, like I can see where I'm not close to injuring myself. Like I would be aware if I was hurting. Whereas if I was like up and down, I'm not sure at what point I would have hurt myself. So it felt safe. That's the word I need to say.
I'm so glad. If
What
I
about-
could, oh, was someone else going to say
I think
something?
Donna was about to say something.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. I liked
Fabulous.
it. I'm for myself and my group, we're working more on core strength and lengthening our bodies. And so this was great. This was a really, really good experience. Just like Shun, I'm somebody who's like more fast paced. So I was ready to move on to the next one. But I like the fact that it forced me to just sit in it and be present with where I was at and really focus on, you know, where I'm feeling it instead of just trying to move on to the next one. And then I had some added weight because my grandson wanted to join in the workout too. Yeah. So it was a good time though. I really appreciate you two very much. Thank you.
Thank you,
I'm looking
Donna.
forward to
We
the next
appreciate being
session.
here.
Yeah.
Yay.
It felt doable. I think for one of the things that I've just trying to work on, just like at least with helping to motivate people, is just doing these small achievable goals. And it felt like, I got one thing done for today. I didn't overdo it. I felt like I worked out something and it was good. So I just appreciate it. I really do appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad that we got to show you something that was different for you and new. And if I could just kind of tag on to what both you and Donna were saying, the thing about Pilates is that it is a mind-body connection. So you do have to think about what your body is doing and own what your body is doing and take care of your body. So some of that is we go slow so that you can process it, and you can also decide that, well, this part's not for me. If you are feeling like it's, not everything feels good in everybody's body. But what's cool about this is in the beginning, we go very slow and thoughtful like this. But as you progress, so you saw these are all beginner level exercises, but they have an ideal progression, right? But you didn't see necessarily the ideal tempos, right? So the goal of Pilates is you do this stuff so that you can go and do your other activities like dance or play with your grandkids, and if they're bigger, it might be more dangerous, t-ball and such, so that it takes over. Like you don't have to think anymore about, oh, my ribs are sticking out and that's going to make my back hurt. Like you'll have trained your musculature to do that. And the Pilates method, so I'll give you like a 3 exercise real quick rhythm if you want to see advanced what the tempo would be. But it's after doing years of training and my body knows to go to those fundamentals, right? So it does eventually and can become faster. And we have what we call flow. That doesn't mean that everything is fast. It means that things have a rhythm. Each exercise has its own rhythm. So the 100 that Aevie did is always the same. It's inhale for 5 pumps, exhale to go down. Well, what you didn't see was maybe the rhythm that the roll up can go into, right? So I'm going to show you the first 4 exercises of the full order. And I'm just going to do like 2 reps of each so you get an idea. So it would be, if you're an advanced student, lay down flat. Everything comes up for the 100. And inhale, 2, 3, 4. Now I go faster. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm breathing faster and moving faster. And my dog thinks it's time to party. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lay down flat. Flex your feet for the roll up. Inhale, up. Exhale, over. Inhale, back. Exhale, down. Inhale, up. Exhale, over. Inhale, back. Exhale, down. Roll over. Arms are down on the mat. Legs up. Go up and over. Open and roll down. Up and over, open and roll down. Reverse it, open up and over, together and roll down. Open up and over, together. And our one-legged circle gets bigger. We get to take a twist. It goes across, down, around, and up, stop. Across, down, around, and up, stop. And reverse, over, around, and stop. Open, around, and stop. Switch like a scissor. And across, down, around, and up. So you get the point. is that then it does become sweatier. And I mean, you're sweating when it's slow because you have to work so hard. It's like doing strength training, you know, but then it becomes, you can tell I'm a little bit out of breath. Then it becomes more aerobic. And then my Fitbit thinks I've gone swimming, you know, if I don't plug it in, it thinks that I did swimming later, you know? So you can see it can start here. It can stay here, what we did forever, if that's what you need, you know, or you can progress it and it can be a little more vigorous and hit some other bullet points as well. For those of you that were like, I like to move fast.
That's awesome. I'm appreciative, and I know that you all have got another class to teach, but we are looking to do like another session, Donna. We're going to team up and do like a breathing session, which I think is like one of those things that I kind of forgot. Like as I was kicking sugar, breathing was like fundamental to me, and I didn't realize I couldn't breathe. So I can't wait for that class, and I think everybody can participate in that breathing class. So I just thank you both for your time, and you know, the exposure is everything. You know, for me, I didn't know a thing about Pilates. Now I feel comfortable at least knowing about it, and I'm sure I'm going to sign up for a class somewhere soon.
Sweet.
Probably Aevie, somebody's virtual class, probably.
Well, I was just going to mention that Aevie is getting her virtual business off the ground. If you think there might be interest in this group, you know, she could put on like a class that's like a mat class like this, or someone had mentioned like exercises that are not on the mat, maybe a seated chair class or a standing class or a little bit of both. You know, so Aevie's here. You can look her up on social and reach out to schedule a session or your own private group, or maybe talk to Sean. I'm sure Sean and Aevie will be talking about maybe putting on like a regular class, like, so you can do it every week just for this group. And yes, in the meantime, we did schedule a breathing class. I think it's June 1st, right?
That's correct.
And it's a little bit later. It'll be 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you don't need, you won't be lying down. So, you know, it'll be stuff that you can put into your daily life. So if you're in your work clothes still, that's fine. You'll just want a chair to sit in. That's all we'll need. And thank you so much. Oh, and the exposure. I wanted to say, I found Shun because one of the nutrition podcasts that I listened to, she was an interviewee, and I've been doing small business shout outs since May of 2020. And I was like, oh my gosh, this woman is everything that I want to tell people, but I'm tired of saying it myself. I don't have the energy anymore. Like, let her do it. This is her lane, and Pilates is my lane. And so I shouted her out because I really liked what she had to say. And I started sharing some things in my stories that she was sharing. So any of you, so Donna, I'm going to creep on your social media, but if any of you have a small business that you'd like a shout out, I don't have a huge audience, but I have some audience. Or if you work for someone that's a small business and you like them, or if you have a family member that has a small business, look me up, Cecile Elias on Facebook, or Cecile Elias Pilates on Instagram. And I'm in the group Sugar, or the Sisters Breaking the Bonds of Sugar. So I'm sure you can find me there. Just send me the info, you know, like, you don't even have to give me details. You can just send me like website and the person's name or your name and website, and I can investigate. And if I have questions, I'll follow up with questions.
So this is where it's at. So thank you, ladies. Aevie, congratulations on your start, and I'll be there to support you. This is the vision, and we made sugar move today, y'all. So I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Yes.
So awesome.
I was really happy to
you
be a
both.
part of it. Thank you.
Yes. And I'll send the
Thank
recording
you.
to you after it uploads, okay? For approval.
Wonderful.
Thank you, everybody, for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you.